Good afternoon and welcome to the studio here at DistribuTECH 2019. With me this afternoon I have Candace Suh-Lee, who is the Principal Technical Leader for Cybersecurity at EPRI. Candace, thank you so much for making the time to join us this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Claire, for having me here.
I was wondering if you could perhaps expand on something that we were speaking about earlier, and that is the cybersecurity metrics that you've been working on developing.
Yes, for sure. Cybersecurity metrics is an ongoing research project that EPRI is leading in collaboration with a few utility companies in North America. So the aim is trying to find the best way to quantify effectiveness of cybersecurity operation within a utility. So if we could do that successfully, then we can use that score or the metrics to actually not only showing the cybersecurity status clearly and consistently, but also use it as the almost cybersecurity investment performance metrics. So many times the difficulty in cybersecurity area is that when you invest in cybersecurity, the result is not always very clear. And it's very difficult to quantify the risk reduction values that the investment is bring about. And then also it's very difficult to specify certain investment to certain risk reduction. For example, if the cybersecurity risk goes down, we don't know if it was because of that investment you made 3 months ago or a year ago. It's very difficult to do that. So in order to do that, what we need is a very consistent and then engineering-based methodology to quantify cybersecurity operations or effectiveness clearly, and then be able to do that consistently. So that's what we are trying to aim with this research.
So you mentioned that there are various metrics that are being used, and I think you said there were 46 different metrics that you're using?
Yes, currently actually EPRI's cybersecurity metrics is a data-driven metrics. So there are different ways to assess cybersecurity's effectiveness of cybersecurity controls, but mostly qualitative approach has been used has been used a lot in the past. That has a little bit of a subjectivity. For example, it's usually based on the interview with the different people. Where do you think cybersecurity risk is? How do you handle this? And so on, which is great, and then definitely has a lot of values. But what has been missing in the industry is a very data-driven or metric-driven quantitative assessment methodology. So what we tried to do is really engineering-based data-driven metrics. So we want to create that. So what we did was we identified about 120 different data points that is relevant to cybersecurity, and then also should be measurable. And after that, we created about 47 operational metrics that out of those 120 data points.
Okay.
But these operational metrics can be used by the cybersecurity people in their operations to see if something is working or not. It shows the status of a certain specific cybersecurity control. Now, this is a little bit low level and very technical. So we kind of summarized this one into the 10 tactical metrics for the management level metrics. So that shows a little bit of a summarized, abstracted version of a cybersecurity status across the system. And for the executives or higher management, we summarized it even further. And then 3 strategic metrics. That just basically 3 numbers showing protection score, detection score, and response score. So basically, these 3 numbers are supposed to summarize all your cybersecurity operations in 3 different aspects of cybersecurity, which is how well you are protecting, how well you are detecting the threats, and then how well you are responding to detected threats. So those are the three numbers. That's how Apple cybersecurity metrics are actually structured.
Now, have you had an opportunity to actually test this in a real-world situation?
Yes, for sure. When we first developed this metrics, we developed it with simulated data. We basically generated the simulated data and then developed the formula and then actually summarization formula and so on. But after we developed this, we actually asked our Apple member utilities if anybody want to volunteer to test out our metrics in their operation with their own real-world data. And fortunately, many people were interested in piloting our metrics. So we currently, for last 2 years, we completed about 8 different utilities participated in the pilot and then completed the metrics pilot. And based on the data, the real-world data we collected from that pilot, we are currently revising the formula and the data points and so on, because we found that, okay, once we fit in the real-world data, a lot of things we assumed are not correct. Also, we find a lot of interesting facts about the real-world data. So we are currently in the process of making metrics, Apple metrics version 2, which we will have a lot more enhanced version of a formula that we hope reflects the reality a lot better.
And I know that you mentioned that the predominant focus with the metrics and the testing has been done here in North America. Is there any plans for an international rollout or international participation?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, we are getting a lot of interest in Europe, and many of our European utilities. Apple is an international research organization, so we have members from Europe or Asia as well.
Okay.
And we've seen a lot more interested in Europe recently, so we are actually planning to do the cybersecurity metrics workshop in Milan, March this year. So.
Well, I look forward to hearing how the workshop goes and getting some data about how the European utilities perceive the risks. It would be interesting, I think, to see if the risks are the same for the North American utilities as what they are for European or Asian ones.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be very interesting data points we can take a look at and then discuss about it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Candace, thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry, unfortunately, this is all the time that we have available for today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun to be here and then talk about metrics research project.
Well, I look forward to catching up with you again to expand on this.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Be sure to keep an eye on Smart Energy International and the follow-up on this particular project. From DistribuTECH, thanks so much for watching.